What's up, traders? This is Vee Trades, and today I'll be doing a technical analysis breakdown for NVIDIA Corporation with the ticker symbol NVDA. If you want a chart analysis guaranteed to be done, please read the description below. Also, take a second to give the video a like and subscribe for more chart analysis. I appreciate it very much. This video is for entertainment purposes only, does not constitute any financial advice. I will first go over what I see in the daily chart and finish the video off with the weekly chart. So this chart looks a little bearish. You can see that we are still having a hard time pushing through the EMA, and if we did get above it previously, it was just temporary and we eventually sold off to get below it. So you can see the EMA is pointing down. Most of the price bars are below it, so that's one sign for the bears that we are probably going to continue lower. Another sign that's bearish is that we are in this downtrend channel. You can see that every time we come up to this trend line, we find resistance and price action sells off. And if I drag it down, you can see that we can make a channel with it, and we find some type of support at the bottom side, and on the top side of the channel we find resistance. So right now you can see that we are finding resistance at the top side. So we have the EMA and the channel working lower, pushing prices down. However, for the bulls, we do have kind of like a triple bottom. You can see that we had this low in place back here in January 24th. Then we came back again to make a little double bottom, and then it sent prices higher, but then we got rejected from the trend line, and then we came back down again to the lows at the 212 level, and we made a bigger double bottom. However, looks like we're still finding resistance at the EMA. So it's just basically kind of like a wedge pattern where we're seeing kind of like equal lows but lower highs. So it looks like the price action is doing something like this. So it looks like there's two patterns playing out against each other. So we have to wait and see which one it wants to follow. I can put a horizontal line across the bottom. And if I drag it up, I'm going to drag it up all the way to the highs. First, I'll show you why. I believe it could be just be in a bigger range maybe. So you can see that this was a nice little range that NVIDIA was inside of. And eventually, we did break outside of it. So if I do a measured move, you can see that was the first leg, and this would be the second leg, and right at the end of this measured move is right where we're finding some type of support. And even here, this little range and the downtrend when it started, you can see that it's pretty similar to what's happening right now, where we were kind of making equal lows. We had a little double bottom, and then we came back down again, and we had a bigger double bottom. But we were making lower highs. We're getting rejected by the trend line, and it sent prices lower. Even the EMA was starting to point down. So this could just be a repeating pattern. Right now, we could just be doing it on a bigger scale. So this kind of infers that we could be seeing lower prices just because we had the same pattern repeat again. So let me erase everything because this looks very important. Show you guys one more time. So again, very similar to what we're doing right now. Prices sold off. We made a low right here. We came back to test it, and then we made a bigger pullback, but then we came back down to the low again and started stalling out, and then we broke down. Again, if I do a trend line across these lows, very similar to what's going on. Again, it's not perfect, but it's pretty close. You can see that we made a low. We came back again to that same level, found a double bottom, came back again, made a third test, just like we had over here. Even prices started to stall out over here also, just like we're getting right now, and then eventually prices started selling off harshly. So very similar pattern. Even then, prices were making lower highs but equal lows, just like we're doing right now. Lower highs but equal lows. So that's why I'm leaning more on the bear side. However, the bulls can still continue higher. You can see that first we were inside of a range pattern right here, and then we had a break outside of it. Usually when we get a break outside of a range, we usually make a measured move out of it. So that would be the first leg down right here. This would be the second movement. And we kind of started to stall out at the tip of this measured move. So maybe it's a bigger range. So if I do something like this, this can also make sense. And I drag it across. So maybe we're inside of a bigger range, something like this, where we had a triple bottom. So we could be seeing prices pull back to the midline, which is right at the 272 level, or even the all-time highs, which is right at the 333 level. But you cannot forget that there's a downtrend in place. So again, you can't just ignore the bearish signs on the chart and just think the chart looks bullish, because again, you have the downtrend channel in play. That's usually momentum. So again, it's like stopping a little train that's coming at you. So the price action wants to flow down. So we're having support right now, but that could just break at any time. So again, we have a downtrend channel, but we're finding support at the 212 level. So again, we're gonna have to wait and see where prices want to go. I'm leaning more towards the downside, but again, if we do break out, either we're gonna go up to the midline or even the all-time high, or we're gonna break down and follow the channel pattern and maybe even make a measured move down, which is right here. This would be the first leg down, and this would be a pullback, and the second leg down is right here. Let me zoom on the chart, right at the 134 level. So I got to keep an eye on that. If I zoom in on the chart a little bit, you can see that there's not a lot of support over here. There's a big move up and not a lot of support, so we could easily fall down quick, just how we went up quickly, kind of like we did over here. Not a lot of support for price action. There is some type of support right around the 205 level. So if price action breaks that, then it could continue much lower, probably even reach this measured move. So we'll have to wait and see. Let's go and wrap this up on the weekly chart. Here's the weekly chart for NVIDIA. So we could see a little pullback in the future, but maybe even lower prices again. We'll have to wait and see. Just because we get a bounce from here and continue higher doesn't mean it's the end of the trouble. We can easily still find resistance and start selling off. So it looks like this was the channel in play for NVIDIA. However, we had a huge overshoot, or kind of like a climax. So if I try to drag it up, where the midline is now where the top was before, you can see that midline is acting as both support and resistance, or just resistance actually. And we had an overshoot here. So when we have an overshoot, we can get a breakout side on this side of the channel because the market is symmetrical. Either that, or there are some cases where we come up short over here, which looks like what we're doing right now, and we could just be in a more aggressive channel instead of this 45-degree angle. However, just based on the market sentiment and other factors, just does not look likely for this to be leading to a more aggressive channel working higher. I'm leaning more towards the bear side, where we can drop down lower and maybe come back all the way to this base that NVIDIA formed. You can see that back here in late 2020, early 21, we had this consolidation, and then we had a breakout of it. So it could be NVIDIA's chance to come back to the breakout level to test it and see if it finds some type of support, because that's where the measure move is, right at the 134 level. So we could come around back over here. We'll have to wait and see. You can see that NVIDIA back here in 2018 had a large sell-off, about a 57%, 58% drop before continuing higher. And right now we haven't had that large of a drop yet. From all-time high to what prices are trading at currently is only at 31%, and even to the lows is at the 40%. So even if we were to drop to the 57, 58%, is kind of very close to my measure move, which is right into the 140s and even the 130s. So if we get the same amount of drop, it just adds up to where this base is, where the measured move is, and probably over here we will probably start seeing some bullish signs. So as right now, I'm leaning more towards the bearish side. There is a bullish case, but I think the bears are probably going to win this out. We'll have to wait and see, but I'll give you guys an update if anything else changes. Thank you for stopping by and checking out my video. Make sure to check out the rest of the channel, since you might be surprised at what you can learn. Leave a comment down below on where you think prices are headed. Also share the video if you want your friends to learn about the markets. Lastly, I appreciate any feedback to help improve the channel, since I want to deliver great content to you guys. See you next time, and bye.